And by the way, yes, I absolutely did. I absolutely did because I started to listen to it on the drive home from work tonight, and I heard the OMGW is like, that motherfucker. He never learns. I wasn't there. I wasn't there to stop him.
I almost re-recorded it. I almost re-recorded it, but I'm like, no, I gotta leave this in.
You had to leave it in.
I gotta leave this in.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and for whatever reason, you have decided to listen to a horrible gaming podcast. And I am not alone, nor am I ever. With me, back from his vacation, is...
Please forgive all the belching. I ate a bag of Swedish fish and had a can of Mountain Dew for dinner just now. So, yeah, Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
All right.
A horrible, disgusting human who just belches into the microphone and eats like garbage.
Good opening. All right, so we've got a fun show for you. A lot of fan interaction came in while we were out with our interview show last week. So we'll get to that, but before we do, we got to get to the credits. If you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you're going to see fancy graphics, and any one of those that I didn't just rip from the internet like the dirty thief I am was provided to us by Mr. Mark Bell, and we thank him for that. As far as the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at OMG is provided by Nick Van Sliders, the man who makes the music, and we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, and probably going to be our biggest segment this week, and that is Fan-teraction. That's where us, the co-hosts, we talk to you guys, the fans. We read all the comments from all the places, the Discord, the YouTube, anywhere I can find them. And we also decided to talk down out of here, which we've picked to talk down. It was actually hard. We had some real debate going on which talk down to choose this week. But I think we've decided on one. But we have a lot of comments because last week, if you guys have been listening, was our interview show. I do urge everybody to go back and check that out who hasn't. I interview Rain Dance Danny, Jason the Professor, and C-Town 1980. All, just interview community members. That's how we do things when we get those weeks off. So we've got comments from that. We've got tons of comments from 2 weeks ago. And then we've, of course, got some podcast comments. So let's go ahead and get into it, Neil, because it's a lot. All right,
get into the thick of it. Thick like vanilla pudding.
Yeah. We're going back 2 weeks. This is on episode 1112.
1112.
Well, that's how far
for a very long time. The Quantum Studio here, the time passes much differently.
Exactly. Yeah, we are both. I'm both 40 and 400 at the same time. Right off the bat, we had a comment from Jason. Can't comment. The Ridden need to be destroyed, referring to Back for Blood. He is all in on that game, and I love that game. I'm all in on that game too. It's great. It's an absolute great game. Then he also comments, I don't follow the behind-the-scenes BS. I don't care who makes a Silent Hill game so long as it's true to the series. Well, Jason, I think that's admirable. I do think, however, you're in the minority, unfortunately. I think a lot of people would be very angry if Kojima didn't do it or wasn't attached to it in some way.
I think necessarily. I mean, Kojima didn't have anything to do with it up until the whole Silent Hills project. It's just the fact that he and Del Toro were attached to it, and those are two big names. I think we were bamboozled in that regard, but
that's what I was saying. I feel like he stole that one, like even more than Metal Gear is he kind of made it synonymous with his name, and now people think about it too much as those two connected,
Oh yeah.
Next up, we have Jason say, Alex Rovius and Pius Augustus should have been the final characters in Smash. I know I'm gonna get shit. Who is Alex Rovius and who is Pius Augustus? Do you know offhand?
I have absolutely no idea.
Jason, enlighten the morons, man. Tell us who those people are. Uh, he then says he's still convinced I'm secretly Canadian. I am not Canadian, I can assure you. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I spent most of my childhood in Manton, Michigan. Then I moved to Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And then I moved around a great amount and now live in Kent, Ohio. So anybody who wants to kill me for my scathing review of Monster Hunter Rise, you know where to find me.
While you're giving out information, what is the last 4 to your social?
Oh, it's 5555. What happened to Wednesday for this? Okay, so little slip up on my part. I want to apologize to everybody. I did apologize on Discord, which is what caused all the Jason thinking I'm Canadian stuff. But so yes, our YouTube podcast was a day late 2 weeks ago. It came up on Thursday. Something really weird happened. So my Wednesday was super busy, but we were supposed to have two things go up, and for whatever reason, they didn't actually. They uploaded to YouTube. It was fine, but then when I went in, it was like they had somehow gotten jumbled up, like they were deleted somehow. It was very strange. So I had to go back in and like re-upload them, but I didn't catch it until Thursday. I'm sorry about that, everybody. It's my bad. That's why that was on. We are a Wednesday show on YouTube. If you want to watch the YouTube version, it comes out on Wednesdays. That was a one-time mistake. Kev then says I should have watched this yesterday on YouTube. You couldn't have. He then says, can I motion for removal of disclaimers? They break the flow of the show. Kev, you can motion all day long. I appreciate your motion. Your motion is heard, but I'm a walking disclaimer, so you're probably still going to get them. Just saying.
I appreciate your motion.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your motion. I appreciate your motion, baby. Appreciate it. Kev Too Tall then says, Monster Hunter Rise on PC is getting a real demo. That's good. Demos are always good. Gives you a chance to play the game. Kev Too Tall then said something stupid. Tailspin over Darkwing Duck. Get out of here. I will not get out of here, Kevin. Tailspin is 100 times the superior show to Darkwing Duck. And I will debate you. I will debate you in public about it. It is a better show in concept, in execution, and in quality. And I like Darkwing Duck, so there. Seatown Avenger.
While we're talking about old shows and shit, how about I just found Legends of the Hidden Temple is back?
Oh, where is that back?
Oh, I think
I'll watch that.
I think it was on NBC or something. I cannot remember where I saw it. I was doing stuff around the house, and I just happened to come upstairs, and my wife had the TV on, and I just saw the Blue Barracuda shirt. I'm like, the fuck, what?
Where is this? Do you remember the other Nickelodeon show that ended in the Aggro Crag, or was that Legend? What was it?
That was Gas.
Gas.
I think it was called Gas.
The show was called Gas?
Gas. Yeah, games and sports. Gas.
It couldn't have been called that.
Oh my god.
It couldn't have possibly been called that.
I have to Google it now.
Oh man. Because I was like, where's the fucking Aggro Crag from? Because you'd get a piece of it if you won. Which was insane, but I wanted a piece of it so bad. We can't do this. We have too much stuff.
No, keep going. I'll interrupt you.
Seatown then goes, Tailspin, yo, 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 you are forgetting the best Disney show of all time, and that was Gargoyles. Seatown. I like Gargoyles. Gargoyles is a great show. It is a very serious show. I think... What?
Guts.
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 That's it, guts. I was like, gas. There's no way it was gas. No one would put a show.
thing.
No one
Gas
could
is a
possibly
different
put
thing.
on a show. This can't be a thing. No
No,
one would
gas
say
is a
gas. Like,
Gas is
welcome
a
to
thing.
gas.
It's a Nickelodeon. It's like a network or something.
Welcome to the fart show. Like, this
It's literally
is
called
insane.
gas.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
telling you, it's called gas.
I'm gonna take your
sorry.
word for it. We don't have time to argue for this. We don't have time to argue about this. Gargoyles is a great show. I have a hard time comparing Gargoyles to Tailspin. I don't think they're in the same. I think it's apples to oranges, man. I think it's apples to origin. Maybe that's a cop out, maybe not. But I will say this. God, it's hard. I like both of those shows a lot. They scratch very different itches for me. So
What
I'm not
about
going to say
Batman,
one's better.
The what was it? Batman Beyond.
That's not a Disney show.
No, I'm just talking animated shit now.
Okay, we
I'm
can't
not-
do that.
I'm
We
not
can't just
relegating
talk
to Disney.
all
I'm
animated
sorry.
shows.
I'm so sorry.
How are you
can't-
doing this? We have
can't
40
talk about
fucking comments to go through,
nostalgia.
and you have already thrown us off
You
3
can't
times.
Talk about nostalgic shows.
Stay on
and
point,
ignore
baby.
These gems.
It's Disney. We're comparing Disney shows. It's Disney shows.
Ugh.
Stay on point. Stay on point. All right. Kev Tutal then says Infinity Ward. That's the Call of Duty studio. We actually figured it out later in the episode, so he must have posted that before we got to that part. He then said those 3 studios each make their own Call of Duty game. That's why they get 3 years to make it. They rotate. We actually said that in the show. Kev, do you listen to the show? Sometimes I think you listen to the first line and then you're busy typing the comment that you don't hear the rest of the show. We said all this. So just saying. Just saying, man. Just saying. He then says Neil's HR idea already slightly exists in temp agencies. Just instead of temporary positions, they would be permanent. No company would ever have direct control over HR anymore. Just the ability to say, this is what we are looking for. I still like Neil's idea all the way around. I think it doesn't complicate things. I like that idea, Neil. The kind of privately run HR department for all of gaming. I think that's a really, really good way to do it. All right, so now we've got our good buddy William Houen. He comes in with the high. I love the high. If I was making a William Houen shirt, it would just be high with an exclamation point next to it. He then says, best podcast title ever. This is it. You won't ever have a better title. And our title was Castlevania is the only choice. He then says he then quotes you saying, I have not played a Monster Hunter game. Dude. Yeah, I know. Neil's a gamer while still somehow not being a gamer. It's kind of insane. Well, you could have played in real life Monster Hunter at the zoo. Maybe next time. Also, happy birthday.
I think I'd get kicked out for that.
I think you would too. I do like the idea of you somehow killing a cheetah with an axe and then trying to make a spear out of it in the cheetah cage. I think that's fun. He then says happy birthday, although he had already wished you a happy birthday the week prior. So double birthday wishing from William Houen.
Double birthday.
Double birthday. That's a Halo one right there. Imagine being so much of a Monster Hunter fan that you call names to someone who doesn't enjoy it as much as you. My God, so sorry, man. I know, it's very irritating. I don't understand why I got so much hate. And what's crazy to me is, Will, man, go back and watch that review. I repeatedly say in it that, if you like it, it's great. These are the reasons that I'm not going to play it. It's very, I don't know. They're crazy people sometimes. He then says, Neil, will you do a Metroid Dread review? I sure hope so. That's going to be the talk down, ladies and gentlemen. It was highly debated what we're going to do, but we're going to do a talk down. We're going to take 10 minutes, and we're going to give Neil the floor to kind of give you guys an idea of how Metroid Dread is working for him. So that's going to be the talk down. So we're not going to refer to it here. He then says, I would love for Koji Igarashi returning to Castlevania. Parentheses, I know it won't happen. And honestly, I am very much looking forward to and or hoping for Bloodstained 2. He then said, I genuinely enjoyed Blades of Steel back in the days. More power to you, buddy. I genuinely enjoyed it too. He then said, anyway, great show. Thanks for the quality discussions. And then ended it in the only way anybody should. Hashtag boycott Halo. Yeah, that's my boy. You then responded to him about the review stuff. So I'm going to leave those comments alone and we'll get to that in the talk down. Okay?
Sure.
Then Kev Talk comes back with, what if Konami did Castlevania like Ocarina of Time? He then commented again and said, ignore my last Castlevania comment. You two are spitballing ideas like Witcher 3 hasn't already made the perfect Castlevania game. I don't think Witcher 3 is a good Castlevania game, personally, but Witcher 3 is a good game. As much as I despise CDPR now, Witcher 3 is a very good game. I don't know if I'd say...
if only there was going to be a next-gen update for Witcher 3. If only.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. I do also want to say, I don't think Witcher 3 would have been a good Castlevania game. I don't think it's over the top enough, honestly. And it's too ugly. You know what I mean? Like Castlevania's too anime for that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. Like, I see what he's saying, but at the same time, I would never compare Witcher 3 to a Castlevania. Never.
Yeah, you have, like, something like Castlevania where, like, sure, you have some classic monster-ass monsters, and then you have, like, a pig that has a cat's head and like runs around
right.
and turns you into stone if it touches you or some stupid shit like that. Like, Castlevania is kind of all over the place. Now, if we're talking about like the style of game, just to go back to that discussion, I mean, yeah, we could probably do a big ass open world Castlevania, maybe almost in the vein of Breath of the Wild. Like, hey, there's the clock tower in the distance, but you can just run straight there and fight Dracula if you want, or you can take out all his minions that are, in charge of zones in the area. I think that would be a pretty good thing.
I think that would be really cool too. I will say I think it needs more spice than that. Refer to my comments from last show, but still, I think an open world game would be like if we're just talking big open world games, kind of like Witcher, kind of like Castlevania. I'm on board for that. It's just the tone of Witcher 3 is completely different to me than the tone of Castlevania, even when Castlevania is at its most gritty. It's just my feeling on it. Moving on, though, since we can't spend too much time on these, Keftital says, Nintendo will skip a console generation before making another Smash Brothers game. What do you think about that, man?
I think that's a very real possibility, especially with something like Ultimate. I mean, we had Smash Brawl for the Wii, and we had the weird Smash Wii U, Smash 3DS amalgamation, same thing, but actually different, weird situation in the Wii U generation. But it was like towards the end of the life of both of those consoles, essentially. So it was a very weird gap. I almost wonder if it would have behooved them to completely skip the Wii U altogether, because poor Sakurai. That poor man. I hope that he is only like a consultant on the next one as well. Unless he just like takes a break and is like, you know what, I want to get back into this. But every interview they've had with him, he's just like, please let me die. Like every single one of them, he's just like, I really didn't want to do it, but Nintendo threw a shitload of money at me. I mean, dude's in his late 50s, I think. Yeah. Late 50s, maybe even early 60s. Like, it's time for some fresh perspective, some new blood in there. And I think a skip of a generation might be what the game needs.
Right. I do want to say this. I think what's interesting is I actually had a scrapped terrible talk about this. That I was going to do, where I think that Smash Brothers needs to take a long time off because of the fact that they're oversaturated with characters. Like, I feel like they're scraping a barrel at the bottom for characters at this point. And like, yeah, we're still getting some good ones, but like some of them don't even make sense in there, in my opinion. And I feel like we need to like let it breathe a little bit, almost, you know.
Yeah, to some degree.
Yeah.
I think the big draw for it now is some of the third party characters.
Right.
Like
And
all
we're
the
right. But we're out there getting third-party characters so much. Like the last like 4 or 5 updates have been third-party characters, and it's just like, holy
I
shit!
think they do that a lot for some other fighting games. I mean, not as much as Smash does.
Not as much as Smash. Like Mortal Kombat's
good for it. Yeah, stuff like
yeah,
that.
but like I mean, you're right about that. But Mortal Kombat has the ability to make its own characters. Smash doesn't. Smash has to like take already established characters and put them into the game, you know what I mean?
True.
So like the originality of it is all dependent on like these and but frankly, you've done everything like they've done everything in the Switch one, like literally everything. I feel like they need to just take a big break.
And they've even said that is why it's called Ultimate. Every character that has ever existed has been there.
Right.
99% of the stages are there, with the exception of like 2 of them for some reason. So it is the ultimate version, and I do think that it would behoove them to let it lie for a while.
Well, and I don't think we're going to get a new Switch for a very long time, or a new Nintendo system. So I feel like this game can have a long tail from this point on, you know?
Yeah.
But moving on, because we're taking too much time on that. You guys don't do anything on a real schedule. Yeah, you know what? We post almost everything on a relatively regular schedule, but the recording schedule at OMG is a special ulcer in my stomach that I have named after.
Boy, howdy, is it special?
It is an ungodly nightmare. I mean, even at the beginning of this podcast, before we even went live, me and Neil have to have a hard conversation about podcasting. Like, it's every fucking time. Every fucking week, guys. It's like, how are we going to record this?
I prefer the term staff meeting.
Staff meeting. Staff meeting. I prefer the term panic fuck. Kev Tutal then said, you went in the penalty box because you were a losing combatant and you paid the penalty. That's right. You go to a penalty box because you got shit kicked out of you. Blades of steel all the way. That wraps up the comments for 1112. I did it again. I'm not even going to correct it this time. So now we move to the interview episode. Now, just so you guys know, disclaimer. Yeah. I'm doing it halfway through. Our recording schedule is crazy.
No, Kevin, somebody get him.
Somebody tackle him. Our recording schedule is crazy. We don't have a lot of time. We record when we can, and we're actually recording this literally the day it went up on YouTube. We're not going to do that regularly, but because of that, if you comment and I don't read it out, you don't hear me read it out, it's just because the recording took place before your comment went up. Doesn't mean don't comment. I will go back. I will take notes. I will get your comment out there. So for the comments on our interview show, we had Philbilly. Psychologically, I feel the reason games like Warzone are fun and addictive is honestly because it is hard to win, and you don't often win. So when your team pulls off the W, it is very exciting and fulfilling, which keeps you in the game and pushing for more kills and more wins. And he's not wrong. Personally, I've played quite a few battle royales, and that is definitely the high, is like seeing how far you can climb before you get knocked out. I actually kind of equate it in a weird way to roguelites. Like that's how the same, for me, the same sense of accomplishment in a battle royale is the same sense of accomplishment in like Hades. Like I get farther and farther every time I play Hades. I get closer and closer to that win in battle royale. Seeing my number go up is what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
Jason then says, I don't get microphone or pajama sleeping girls on Twitch. I think Twitch just might be sadistic to Zach. You know what's weird is after we recorded this, thing about the weird ladies licking microphones and the women sleeping on camera. I haven't gotten them recommended to me in a while. I don't know if Twitch just figured out I'm not gonna watch that. I don't know, but I haven't gotten them recommended, so it's out of mind too. But yeah.
Well, the entirety of Twitch leaked a little while ago, so maybe somebody has rewritten Twitch.
Well, I don't think they've rewritten it yet, and that's a whole nother, because Melissa's actually super interested in that. Just because it's like a very interesting legal precedent stuff going on there, because they're in serious trouble. But we're not gonna go into that here. We don't have the time. Jason then says or less. I don't know what that means. It's a completely different comment, so I don't know what he's referring to there. Then we go into the podcast thread on Discord. I am not sure where these were posted in relation to the episodes, just because we had 2 weeks, but I'm going to read them out. Philbilly330, the game economist is the toxic a-hole YouTuber that Zach was talking about. I would literally pummel that douche out of principle if I would ever meet him in real life. Dude is the worst condescending, self-important, self-righteous idiot I've ever heard speak. There you go. Philbilly's hot take on that guy, and he's a real piece of shit. Philbilly's right about that. Philbilly then says it's Ravenclaw. They do Warzone right now. I think they are somehow under Infinity Ward. There is a weird thing with Ravenclaw. I don't know where Ravenclaw fits in, because I know Ravenclaw did the story for one of them too, so I don't know where they fit in, but yeah.
Every time you say Ravenclaw, I think Harry Potter.
Okay. Philbilly then says Zoodles! Parentheses, big fan of zucchini noodles, laugh out loud. I think he's referring to the interesting vegetable part of the interview for Jason. C-Town then said, man, that last interview, what a nerd. He is being very funny, ladies and gentlemen, because he was the last interviewer. Jason then responded to him and said, who isn't? Especially in my Discord, our Discord. Kev then posted this one. Kev, this was almost our talk down. We debated it quite a bit as to whether it was going to be this or the Metroid Dread, but Neil actually has this for one of his odds and ends. Sorry for the spoiler, but he posted a link to a story about how CD Projekt Red delays next gen Cyberpunk 2077 and Witcher 3 to 2022, which at that point, who gives a fuck, but we'll get into it later. And he just did it with a lot of laughter. So we are finally done with fan interaction.
Hooray!
Yay!
I think this is the longest one ever.
This has been pretty long. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with the talk down, which will be Metroid Dread.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so it's time for the talk down, ladies and gentlemen. This is our segment. We've had it for I think the third week we're doing it.
I think so.
We take one of your comments out of wherever, and we decide to spin it off into a nice, tight, 10-minute topic. This week, it was William Houen. He wanted to hear from Neil on Metroid Dread and his thoughts about it. So, Neil, you played Metroid Dread. What do you think, man? I'm actually interested to see it here, too, because it's the first Metroid game that I think has ever interested me.
Yeah, so I gotta say, it is simultaneously very familiar and so very new at the same time. So you get there's the usual trappings, it follows the story. This is not the fifth game in the series, but like the fifth numbered entry. You are Samus, you go to this planet, you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But what is very interesting this time around is how you get the traditional, they call it being Metroided, where you have all your shit and you just lose all your shit.
Mm-hmm.
You land, get out, have a quick cutscene, and then it's like a fade to black situation, and you have no idea what the fuck just happened.
Oh. You
are not shown anything like that. Everything is very dark, atmospheric. It's a natural evolution of Metroid, even though it is a 2D, 2.5D game.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely not as such. So you get your free aiming, your exploration is there as it always is, but the biggest change to the series is what the name is based off of, that dread, that tension. You have what are called the Emmy hunting you, but they are relegated to certain zones. So it kind of works like this. Every single area you inevitably come up against one of these Emmy. You cannot do anything at all to it. You can only run away at first. And if you are caught, unless you are very lucky, it's a one-hit kill. Uh, so when you go through this area, you have to know what you're doing. Uh, if you get touched at all, you get pinned down by the Emmy, and you get a one shot to try to knock it back off of you. I I may be crazy, but I think there is something with the timing that it shows that I don't think anyone's mentioned anything about. I could be wrong. I could be crazy. Every single time you get caught, the claw opens after the cutscene starts. And I feel like that's relative to when the actual piercer thing comes out and actually goes to kill you, but that's a completely separate thing. Uh, but your object is to destroy these Emmy, but like that's not the overall objective. The story kind of unfolds in such a way to where you can play it without the story if you want. It is just a big ass open world exploration game. Well, not open world, but
Right.
traditional Metroidvania fare. So inevitably, you will come up against an area where you destroy this floating brain thing and get a power that will let you kill the enemy. But the second you get that power, that thing is full tilt trying to find your ass. So you're like essentially put in a boss fight to survive. And with this power that you get, you can actually destroy the enemy. And then once the enemy is destroyed, that zone is safe. You can freely move throughout it, this, that, and the other. When comparing it against other Metroids in the vein of difficulty,
Hmm.
I would say it is just a tiny baby bit more difficult. But
Okay.
those games usually are earlier on, and as you get more health, ammo, stuff like that, they do get a bit easier. That also said, I feel like they're a bit stingier with giving it out this time around to almost make it like a horror, more in line of like a survival horror.
Okay.
So I've only come across 2 energy tanks. Outside of that, they have the energy tank parts that you find. Um, Instead of giving 5 missiles, they only give you 2. So ammo's a resource that you want to be very, very conservative with. Um, in regard to the actual exploration, I will say for somebody who's coming in and doesn't know what they're getting themselves into with a Metroid game, you may have to look at a walkthrough.
Mm.
Because there are some very clear, if you're familiar with Metroid games, you'll know to look at walls and see if there is like almost like a block that looks totally different than the others, or wow, there's this dumb weird space between 2 platforms. Should I do something with that? Like that sort of situation. In fact, I did get hung up uh, in one of the areas pretty early on where I actually still am. I've only been able to play about 4 hours of the game, but I got hung up at a part because I even myself couldn't find one single block that I had to break through to continue forward.
Mm.
Um, but overall, I'm having a great time with it. I'm so glad that they implemented checkpointing with this. So to some degree, depending on what the situation is, the game will autosave.
Oh,
So
nice.
traditionally, Metroid games, it is if you do not save and you die, you go back to your last save,
Right.
and that is it. Especially with the Emmy zones, like I feel like that would be a bit too unfair if they didn't have an autosave.
Mhm.
So before you go into one of those Emmy zones, you autosave. So
Okay.
if you do accidentally get hit, something along those lines, things don't work out for you, you do have that autosave. You automatically load back into that. That is the same for bosses, or at least one cutscene that I have come across that's been like a escape sequence, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Those sorts of things, they will checkpoint you.
Mm.
But at the same time, they will also like go the old route too. Like if you had saved and it had been a while since you saved, you didn't really accomplish anything, and you just happened to die from an enemy, like, hey, you need to start over back where you were at your previous save. But what's great about the exploration and the continuation of all of these things too is you've always had your traditional map system for the game. You've always been able to hit start, pull up your map, take a look at where you are, where you want to go, but you can actually put markers down now, and
Mm.
they'll show up in the mini maps. So instead of what you would have to do before in the Metroid games that did have a map, always go a little bit, pause, make sure you're going the right way, go a little bit more, pause, make sure you're going the right way. Now you just drop a pin on the map, and you will always have that little arrow pointing to where it is that you want to go, and that makes traversal great.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
overall, I'm having a great time with it. I am so sad that I do not get to play it as much as I can, as I would like to. Um, like I just had one of my first major boss fights. I don't want to spoil what it is in case people haven't watched the trailer, but it's a big one. But yeah, I'm having a great, grand old time with it. And anyone who is a fan of Metroid or played Metroid games in the past, anything like that, I know Kev and I have briefly messaged on Facebook about it whenever the day it came out. Talked about it. Like, if you are a fan of the Metroid games, Castlevania games, anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
you absolutely 100% are going to enjoy this game. And I highly recommend it to anyone looking for that. Anyone who is kind of newer to the series, I would also recommend it to them. I think it's a good game overall, but I would recommend it with the caveat of you may need a walkthrough, and you need to just consider it may be a little bit more difficult than what it is that you think it may be.
Okay. Cool. That sounds good. Let me ask you real quick. Knowing everything you know about me, do you think I'd like it?
I think it would be worth you trying it out, but I am not 100%. I'm like 60%, 70%. Like, yeah, I think you would get some fun out of it.
Okay.
It would definitely be worth a try, but I wouldn't recommend saying, "Hey, you need to go out and buy this game like right the fuck now."
Okay.
Like,
All right.
don't get me wrong. I'm telling everybody right now, collectively, you need to go right the fuck out right now and buy this game. And I'll tell you, before I even said anything, everybody already did. It's the highest selling Metroid game in franchise history already.
It should
So,
be too,
I mean,
from what I hear.
it really is. The major outlets reviewed it very well. I mean, it's a pretty good game, but I think for you personally, I think maybe watch some videos, some people doing a let's play for a little bit here and there to see what you personally would think of it.
Okay. All right. Will do. All right. I think that wraps it up. I hope William Houen has a better idea as whether they would enjoy it or not. So let's get into the talk down where we are really going to fight with each other. So I hope everybody's excited.
This is the talk down. This was the talk down.
No, I said, oh, did I say talk down? I'm sorry. Let's get
You
into the
said get
first
into
talking point. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said it wrong. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our talking point. Our talking point today is Nintendo based and the source of much contention, even between people on Discord. But people on Twitter are arguing about it, and basically they announced the price and the release date. Just for anybody who doesn't know, the expansion pass is the addition to the Nintendo Switch online services. Right now, as it stands, you can get Nintendo Online for either the family, which is a higher price, but we're going to talk exclusively about the single player just because it's easier than getting into the whole price change stuff. But the single player is $20. You get the online mode capability. You get a couple of like crappy little free things, but you also get the real piece de la resistance, which is the Nintendo and then Super Nintendo arcades, which they add classic retro games to those that you can play in there whenever. Now they've added the expansion pass. The expansion pass will include a library of Nintendo 64 games as well as the Sega Genesis. It will be an increase to your online prices, though. So, if you are a single player getting the online pass, your price goes from $20 to $50. If you basically $49.99. If you are a family, it's $35 to $80, $79.99. And that will go into play on the 25th of October. Now, in addition to this, what is going to be brought up in this thing, I want to get ahead of it, is that you will also get the DLC, the big DLC expansion, the last major content update, which is a stupid mistake in itself, but the last major content update to Animal Crossing for free, which you will have to pay $25 for separately should you want to buy that on your own. Okay, so I know that me and Neil are diametrically opposed on this just because of some Discord posts, so I don't know which one of us should get into this first. Do you want me to go, or do you want to go? Like, how do you want to start this?
Go ahead. How would you like to begin the fight?
That's basically it. It's basically it. I felt like Mugatu. Like, am I on crazy pills when I was in Discord and you and Kev Tutal agreed?
To be fair, though, I don't think, like, given it was just a text medium, I don't think my complete thought on it
that's usually how it works.
Necessarily translated. I'm not as hyper gung ho on it as it seems, but we'll get into that. I'll let you go first.
Okay. All right, I'll go first. I think this is an egregious bullshit pricing. And the reason for it is not necessarily, first of all, I want to say right up front, I am not basing my anger at this price necessarily on the worth of what they are giving to you. What they are giving to you is great. It might be worth $50 a year, maybe. However, they have established a price that is way lower than this. This is 150% markup, ladies and gentlemen. 150% of the price increased on top of what it was prior. Now, in addition to this, they are trying to obfuscate the fact that this is such a high price with this DLC nonsense. I want to say this right up front. This $25 DLC nonsense shouldn't even be calculated into it. That $25 DLC is only worth $25 on the day it comes out. That's a signing bonus, basically. This is a $50 price to you annually, every year. So you shouldn't even be looking at that DLC unless at some point they say you're going to get a free DLC with this once a year that's worth $25. Okay, maybe then I can get behind it. But I'm not going to get behind that because it's obviously just like a hand puppet over here, look over here, while we raise the price on you. As far as this goes, this is an 150% markup for games that are 20 plus years old. Now, they are beloved games. I'm not going to say they're not. Could they potentially get $60 for some of these games? I don't necessarily think so, but they could bundle them with others that might be able to be worth it. But they could potentially sell some of those Nintendo 64 games separately. I've said that on the channel before. Nonetheless, you have established a price and you have raised it by 150% without giving a good enough reason for it. So I don't think I'm going to get it. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't think it's worth it for this. I just don't. There you go, Neil.
So you you touched a little bit on like something that I had brought up whenever we were first talking about this in the Discord.
Yeah.
So
because you're not the only person that said that. A lot of people online were like, "Ooh, you get this," and I'm like, you shouldn't even be considering that as part of this.
So for me, right out of the gate, the 64 and the Super Nintendo, not the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis games. Mm-hmm. The Nintendo 64 games right there, that is not necessarily worth the bump all the way up to $50, but it's still something for me. Definitely if there was an increased tier that had just those, like, yeah, sure, I'd pay the extra for those because I love the 64. It was my second console.
Yeah.
But overall, the package as a whole. So they are bundling in, like you said, the Animal Crossing DLC. That is something that we were going to get anyways, because Kayla's still really into Animal Crossing. So right there, I paid $20 a year plus the $25 that I would have paid for the DLC. So it's only an extra $5 than what I'm paying for the entire year. Now,
are you going to cancel it after a year?
Well, this is where the what didn't come through, I think, in the conversation on Discord.
All right.
If
I'm trying to stay measured through this whole thing.
If they say going forward, like, oh, by the way, all of our DLC for games is going to be, you pay a flat rate, or you get it in this expansion pass tier of Nintendo Online. If they give away all DLC like that, which I don't know if that would be something that they would want to do. If that's how they do it, though, then 100% $50 is absolutely worth it. Now, if they're only giving away one major DLC a year, well, then it's a crapshoot.
Right.
At that point, as to whether it's going to be something you care about, something like that. Like, I bought both of the character passes for Smash. I have every single Smash character. That ran me an additional $60 for those 2 passes.
Okay.
So for Smash Ultimate, I've already invested grand total, it's like $120 for just one single game because of the character passes. And if they came along and said, well, oh, by the way, your DLCs for like Smash Brothers, whatever the fuck it's going to be next. Let's say they just throw another one out on the Switch. Oh, well, the character passes are included in the price of your online, or you get them at a steep discount. So instead of paying $30 per pass, you end up paying like $5 or even $10 per pass. Then absolutely 100% that's going to be something I'm going to be about. If they're like, they have one major like big release a year and they're like, oh, the DLC for this big release comes for free on this one thing. So let's just say like some Mario game comes out and it's like, oh, here's the DLC, the director's cut or whatever the hell they want to call it.
Okay.
For the DLC of it. And that's it. Granted, it's something that I would probably have anyway. I have all the major Mario games on the Switch, but if it's something that I didn't care about or didn't play, anything like that, then absolutely, absolutely, I would take pause and consider whether or not overall it is worth it. Now, some of these 64 games that they are offering are lost to time unless you either still have a Wii U kicking around or even a Wii that you had downloaded some of these games from the eShop. But I know for a fact one of the games that they had mentioned about Paper Mario, the OG Paper Mario, goes for $60 plus used at the exchange, places like that. So it's something outside of emulation, unless you already have the game, it's very difficult to get your hands on.
Okay, this is true. However, it goes for 60 plus. I'm sorry. Am I interrupting? If you had more to say, I just realized I started to go there. I apologize.
That was pretty much it.
I was like, am I interrupting him?
No,
I do that too much.
Just my overall thought on the entire situation is right now, here as it's been presented, yes, it is worth it for me this year.
Okay.
Now, they have not... If they ended that video and said, like, the Animal Crossing New Horizons expansion and all future DLCs for Nintendo Switch games will be included, then yeah, absolutely 100%.
Yeah. Kick
me up to that $50 tier.
Okay.
But they have not said what their plans for the future are.
Well, and that's what really bothers me there, right? The thing is that they haven't said that. So what this feels like to me is we're jacking this up a really big amount of price, a big amount of money Sorry, I can't talk. I've had a really long 3 days, guys. Give me just please give me leeway on my bad
Big
words.
money, no whammies.
Yeah.
Big money, no whammies.
So they're pricing this up, and then they all met around the table and was like, people are going to be pissed that we're pricing this so high. How do we make this okay? And they said, let's throw in a DLC of a beloved game right now. People are going to be like, oh, the DLC makes it worth it. They're going to get it, and then almost everybody's going to forget to cancel their subscriptions, because that's how subscription people make money half the time, is you sign on for a free trial and then you have it and you just forget to ever get rid of it, and it just keeps taking money out of your account. Like, that's what it felt like to me. It really felt like a watch the left hand so you don't see what the right hand is doing sort of situation. That's what irritates me, because there is absolutely no evidence, none whatsoever, that they are going to be giving you any more free DLCs going forward on this. The other thing that bothers me is they really didn't explain and correct me if I'm wrong, they really didn't say 100% that DLC is yours. Do you lose access to that DLC if you cancel your subscription?
Oh, I'm going to assume absolutely.
Well, then that is bullshit too, because then you don't even get the DLC. You're not really getting the DLC. You're just getting access to DLC so that you'll get, like, that to me is frustrating. The other thing I do want to say on something you commented on, the thing that I almost interrupted you on. Yes, Paper Mario goes for 60 plus to collectors, to people who are collecting old school games. Not necessarily the people who are like, I just want to play that game. You know what I mean? Like, to them that experience is more like worth like $20. Like, that's what that experience is worth, maybe. Like, so I don't feel like the people who are buying that game in its obscurity are not people who are going to even probably take it out of the box. They're people who are trying to get it to add it to a collection for collecting purposes. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's buying that game to play it, I don't think, personally.
Well, at the same time, though, like, if somebody does want to play the game,
right,
that's going to be your only option, is
right.
to pay those prices. It's not like there's...
No, you're right.
Well, if you're a collector, you pay $60, but if you're just a dude who wants to play the game, it's $20.
You're right.
Like,
but what I'm saying is, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just clarifying that I don't think, like if somebody said, if they tried to release Paper Mario, the OG Paper Mario, on Switch by itself, it wouldn't get $60.
No, yeah,
that's what I'm
not.
saying.
Any
it's getting
digital copy,
right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's getting $60 because there's almost none of them, and collectors want it. It's not getting $60 because the mass population wants to play it that badly. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a little bit of a difference of the clientele and the supply-demand situation there that makes it a little bit different. I'm not saying that you're wrong or the point is invalid. I just want to clear up that, like, Paper Mario is not worth $60 to the average person. And that's, like, yes, this is the only place you can play it. But also, half of the people who might play it in this also probably don't care if they ever play it. It would just be something that they play. You know what I mean? So, like, the other thing is, I do want to say this to everybody out there who is making this insane, fucking lunatic argument that this is comparable to Xbox Game Pass. You're an absolute crazy person. And this is not Xbox fanboy shit. I'm telling you right now, Game Pass and this, like, Game Pass blows this away. Game Pass gives you AAA games day and date when they release, both from Xbox studios and other studios, as well as tons of indies, as well as tons of other things, like AAA, AA, single A, the whole 9 yards. Like, to compare that to this product, which is 20 plus year old games with no new games coming out from years and years ago, it's not. Like, stop making that comparison. Like, stop. Like, because I've seen too many people online go, well, Xbox Game Pass is this much. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass is that much, but Xbox Game Pass gives you fucking AAA games day one. This doesn't give you anything day one that's AAA other than a DLC that you may or may not get to keep. So, like, that to me needs to stop, everybody out there. That's not a valid argument at all.
I will say definitely not compared to Game Pass, because
Yeah.
like you said, you get brand new whole games.
Yeah.
That said, to some degree, it is a little bit comparable to Xbox Live Gold.
Yes, it is.
I would compare it to. Not Game Pass.
You're right. However, the problem is Xbox Live Gold is basically given away with Game Pass now.
Right, and that's an important distinction.
Right.
If you have, Game Pass Ultimate or strictly just Game Pass, because if you don't play games online and you just want Game Pass, that shit's like what, $15 a month? You don't play with anybody online, you just play all the games that you want. Then
it's
yeah,
not even that. It's like if you don't get the PC version, if you don't get Ultimate and you just get Game Pass, it's like $11.
Yeah, they're absolutely 100% no comparison.
Right.
Now,
and if you get the PC version by itself, because I'm thinking about canceling, the PC version is $5 a month.
Yeah.
So, like, what the fuck am I even, like, $5 a month for day and date AAA games compared to, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm really sick of that comparison. It's been made in our Discord. It's been made on Twitter a lot, and it's lunacy. This is not, these two services, they're not even apples and oranges. It's like apples and a living cow in a field. Like, it's so far removed from each other that we should not be comparing them. That's not, you should just be looking at the worth of this and the worth of something else. I do want to say one other thing before I know I dominate a lot. There's one other point I want to make too. One thing I've said is I don't even necessarily think that this service isn't worth that price, but Nintendo has given us a baseline. Like, if Nintendo had made their online services $30 a year, would it have been worth it? Yes. I say yes, definitely. Not expansion pass, the baseline. If they had said $30 a year, you get to play online, you get Nintendo, you get Super Nintendo, I would say that would have been worth it. And if they had done that in the first place, and then they had made this $50, do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, and that's something else too. That is definitely something that should be kept in mind with all of this.
Right. Like, a mistake was made here, and it was Nintendo's fault, but that doesn't mean we should pay for it,
You know what this tells me after everything's all said and done?
What?
I get this is kind of out of left field, but I almost feel like this tells me that we're not going to get a Nintendo 64 Classic Edition.
No, definitely not.
If
if Ocarina of Time wasn't on there, I would be like, yeah, there might be a classic. But Ocarina of Time being in that Nintendo 64 collection, you're never going to see a Nintendo Classic. And
I mean,
I have some choice words about the Nintendo Classic, but I'll let you finish your thought first.
They still did, do the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Classic Editions, and there was some overlap still.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not ruling it out that it couldn't happen in the future. But I don't think that they would say, like, let's say 4 months from now at the next Direct, they'll be like, oh, here's the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. Like, no. Right. If they are going to make it, it's going to be further off into the future. But
I don't think it happens.
That is one kind of sad thing, yeah.
I'm not sad. I think the Nintendo Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic were disgusting cash grabs. They're bullshit systems. They don't work very well. They don't have wireless controllers. They're not very usable. I don't like them. I think they were literally like Nintendo preying on people's nostalgia instead of just like putting those games in a place where you can play them, which they have now on Switch, which is great. But like, when those came out, I did not like them. I did not care for them, and I thought that they were kind of like I said, Nintendo preying on nostalgia. They didn't even make really the best quality product that they could. I'm losing my fucking voice here.
maybe it's because people weren't using the Super Nintendo Classic Edition right. Maybe they did not do the thing that makes it so you can play all the games on it that I definitely, absolutely have no idea about. I 100% did not flash other Super Nintendo games onto mine.
Okay, but
100%.
while we're definitely listing things you definitely did not do, I want to point out that most people are not going to do that kind of shit to these things, you know? And
Right.
you know, plus you add in the controller, like there's a lot of like those systems were they weren't the best. Like they could have been really awesome, but they were cash grabs. And that's like, I don't want a Nintendo 64 Classic. I don't want a GameCube Classic. I don't want any more classic systems, because I think every one of those mini classic system bullshit, they're kind of shovelware, in my opinion. Like, put them in a place where we can play them in a quality location. That's what you should be doing as a game company. Not this bullshit nostalgia, eat your lunch money shit, and then release it in some low limited edition way so that it drives up the price, you know? I don't know. I think we're a little bit more agreed on it than I thought we were going to be, which is nice.
Yeah.
But because I felt like I was on crazy pills on that Discord day, especially when Kevin joined in on your side. I was like, I can't even talk to these people right now.
Well,
like, I had to walk away from my phone. I was like, this is insane.
I didn't have the time that I wanted to devote to that because
Yeah.
we were literally in the car to
Right.
go, like driving to the lake when,
Right.
when
No,
this
it's fine.
conversation happened. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to the beach for the weekend.
Right.
Bye. Like,
I personally, I feel like somewhere along the line, somebody was like, you know, we could get more money. We could have gotten more money out of Nintendo Online. So this time around, we need to get more money out of it. And they're making us pay for their mistake. Like, they should have priced Nintendo Online more in the beginning, and then this wouldn't be that bad. But they did. They priced it at $120, so this is 150% markup with a little shiny object thrown in to distract you from the fact that they're marking this up for games that are like, yes, some of these games are beloved, some of them are great. They're not going to hold up as well as you think they are, guys. And these are 20-plus-year-old games. Like, I want to play Star Fox 64 again, but I'm not going to pay some company 150% more than what their baseline price is for games that came out in fucking 20 in like '02. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, it's just not. I'm not going to do it. And I think anybody should really, really look at this before they make that decision, because I think that this is bullshit a little bit. I really do. I think it was a mistake. And the more I think about it, the angrier I get, honestly. And honestly, I was still going to buy it. Like, as mad as I was still going to buy it because, like I said, I really want to play Star Fox 64 again. But I'm not now. I'm just not. We got to start drawing the line somewhere on how these companies treat us. And I do not like the idea. I don't like the way any of this has come down the pipe. I think it's really taking advantage, again, of nostalgia, as well as people's inability to differentiate that DLC price from that standard annualized price. And I think that people deserve more than that, honestly.
So I believe the overall is wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. I mean, I will say, if it comes down the way that it's you, and it's like, hey, we're going to give you some DLCs, you know, every year, even if it's like, as long as it's like for a major game and it's a $25 DLC, I'll be like, all right, this is worth it. But like, I don't see that happening, you know? I just don't. It doesn't feel like Nintendo, and I've watched that commercial 3 times, and it just does not feel like that's the way they're going with this. But all right, we're at an hour, so we got to get into odds and ends. I think we're going to wrap this up unless you got anything else to add, buddy.
No, that'll be it.
All right, good.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Brings us to our final segment, odds and ends. This is where we collect news stories, smaller news stories that maybe don't deserve a talking point. And we just want to tell you guys about them, riff on them about a little bit, let everybody know about them. So we call it odds and ends. We both have 4. Neil's going to go first since we've already kind of given away his first one. Take it away, Neil.
Well, it's the endless joke that just keeps on giving. It just doesn't stop. Cyberpunk 2077. Well, we were supposed to be getting the next gen versions, the next gen updates by the end of this year for both Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, apparently, which I just found out about The Witcher 3 one whenever this news story broke. I didn't know about that part. But yeah, we were supposed to be, and judging by the tone of my voice and the words I'm using, you probably already know where this is going because this is CD Projekt Red and this is Cyberpunk. The next gen updates have been delayed.
You're never going to get the Cyberpunk one. I'm saying that right now.
You what?
You're never going to get the Cyberpunk one. Nobody's ever going to get the Cyberpunk
one. So
and I called that shit, but
Cyberpunk 2077's next gen update has been pushed back now to Q1 2022, which is anywhere between January and March or the rest of all time and eternity. As well as The Witcher 3's next gen update is going to also be pushed back to Q2, anywhere between April and June. That one I think might actually happen.
That one will.
So basically they said that they just weren't pleased with where it was and what it looked like. We want to make it right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so first of all, I do think somewhere along the line I called this, but do you remember when... and I also want to say this was Kev's post back in Fan Interaction, so
yes,
shout out
this
to him
was
as
the
well.
other, yeah.
Do you remember when that was going to come out day and date with the old generation one? Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that one? That was good? And then it was going to come out in February, and now it's not even going to come out until 2 years after it. And I want to point out, I don't think the Cyberpunk 1 is ever going to come out because that game's player numbers are so far in the toilet that I don't think CD Projekt Red would see it as worth it to do it, honestly. I don't think it is worth it. I want to point out, just want to point out one more time, that broken ass game on your Xbox One and your PlayStation 4, that was the system it was supposed to be on. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
That was the system it was supposed to be on, and it only worked on the next generation systems. It's so fucking insane. How did they get away with this? How are they still a company? Oh.
Yeah, so
it's just I don't have anything else to say. Witcher 3 will definitely come out at some point because it's their Skyrim. They're always going to make money off of that when that releases. But yeah, it's fucking Cyberpunk, man. I still want my fucking refund.
you're never getting that refund.
I'm never going to get it, but I still want it. CD Projekt Red, I want my fucking refund, you sons of bitches. Or you know what? In lieu of a refund, just stop giving us your fucking delay speech. Like the delay speech shit that you see go up on Twitter. That's that like yellow background and it's got like a paragraph about like how they're doing it for us. Just it's bullshit. We know it's bullshit.
Well, to be fair, they didn't put it up behind the yellow print this time.
Oh, well, you know what? You can keep the yellow print. You know what I want to see their common delay speech be from now on? Just the game, the word delayed after it, and then when it's delayed to. That's it. Just shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear your platitudes or any of your fucking patronizing bullshit of like, we're making it right for you. This is for you. Because you did that with the last game and it came out like a fucking joke and nobody's gotten their fucking not the right people have gotten their fucking refund for it. You're money grubbing sacks of shit. So just stop telling us you give a shit about us, because you don't. You never have and you never will. Companies like you only care about the money, so just go on fucking Twitter, put Cyberpunk, next gen, delayed, Q, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it, because we know That's all you fucking care about. And the people who are going to buy that game are going to buy it, and the people who aren't. But like nobody wants to hear this shit anymore. You jack shit ass fuckers.
Jack shit fuck ass fuckers.
That's too mean to ass fuckers. That's too mean to ass fuckers. That's too mean to ass fuckers. Ass fuckers should not be equated to these garbage slime. These people are like the liquid that comes out when you have a bad shit before the actual shit, like the pre-shit. These guys are pre-shit. That's what they are. They're pre-shit.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I said it. I'm not taking it back. They're pre-shit. They're pre-shit. It's like it's like pre-cum, but shit. Pre-shit.
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. I'm very angry. I can't believe I'm talking about CD Projekt Red again. What the fuck? I know, that was a little ranty. Okay, alright. I guess I should go with my first one, right?
Yeah, go on ahead, champ.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, that was a perfect time to yell saltines. You missed it. I just want to say.
I was
you
there.
fucking failed.
Bro, I was there. I
you
was
failed
so
saltines there.
I don't want to use saltines liberally. I want to use it for those times where it's just like, yo, stop.
Okay. All right. So my first one is a fun one because I think we need to do a fun one now. So KFC and Turtle Rock Studios had a weird flame war on Twitter, and I'm not saying those companies wrong. Turtle Rock Studios, the guys who made Back 4 Blood and the old Left 4 Dead games, and KFC, specifically the gaming division. So KFC randomly posted on the 12th, which was Back 4 Blood's release date, on Twitter, every masterpiece has its cheap copy, and they put a picture of Left 4 Dead box art next to a picture of Back 4 Blood box art. So Turtle Rock posted 11 herbs and spices and still no taste. Yeah, what a weird flame war, right? Like,
right.
Of all the two companies, like, what? KFC and Turtle Rock? It was very strange. It was a very strange deal. But just wanted to make everybody aware of it because I giggled the shit out of that one. I was like, that's hilarious. Okay, your next one. Hopefully I don't refer to it as a new type of feces.
So, you just may. So this one really sucks. This is one of the major stories that we missed out on in our little break here. So, PS5s were restocked over at Best Buy. Mm-hmm. But there's a teeny tiny itty bitty baby problem with that. See, Best Buy decided to put them behind a paywall. And not just any ordinary paywall, a $200 Total Tech paywall. So only people who were Total Tech members could buy a PS5 from Best Buy. Needless to say, it didn't go over very well.
They probably tried to say it was for us. They probably tried to say, hey, this is how we're trying to cut down on scalpers. It's all for you guys. It's all for you guys. It's not for us to make a boatload of fucking money in the hardest time to... No, I quit. I don't.
Yeah, it didn't go over very well.
I can't do this rant again because I can't come up with anything better than pre-shit. So I don't know.
And of course there was a lot of backlash with it, and
good.
I'm actually unsure if Best Buy has reversed course on this. I think they still may have this practice implemented. So
why would they? Why would a crack dealer lower their crack prices? That's not going to happen.
Yeah, the argument that was made was basically that people are already spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars over MSRP for $500 consoles anyways. So why not have them try to bypass the scalpers and just go straight to
Yep.
Best Buy and pay Best Buy extra instead of a scalper
Yep.
extra?
It's a favor to you guys. We're doing it for you guys. We're charging you more money for you guys.
And I'm going to tell everybody right now, if you or someone you know plans on attempting to buy a next-gen console, be it a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, hell, even the new Switch OLED, if you think you are getting one this holiday season, you are wrong.
Yeah.
This family member who thinks that they're going to buy a PS5 for little Timmy, I'm sorry, you are wrong.
Not happening. Yeah.
If you think that you are paying MSRP, if you do get one of those, I'm sorry, you are wrong. You will not get any of these things. And if they are available, there will be maybe one. And at that point, Highlander rules apply.
You know what? I'd rather give the scalper the money than Best Buy at that point, because at least the scalper's a person who might have kids to feed. Like, I'm not gonna fucking give Best Buy that shit. That's fucking ridiculous. That's a company literally preying on a crime. Like, using a crime to make more money. That's fucking insane.
And what's ridiculous too is this is something that we were worried about happening for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I had seen an article earlier too. This is kind of like, I guess, a secondary odd and end, but it's kind of related. I saw it was a rumor floating around online that Nvidia is going to halt production of 3000 series video cards throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah.
So that way the scalper prices get jacked up. And then when they go to actually relaunch, they'll have a bunch of them that are now a higher MSRP than they were when they initially launched, to try to get more money for them, because capitalism, supply and demand, all those good fun things.
Yep.
So yeah. Jingle bells, motherfuckers.
Yeah, jingle bells.
So what do you got next?
Let's just keep going with shit. Who cares at this point, right? New World is experiencing and if you're a player that's doing this in a game, go to hell. Like, just go straight to hell if this is the way, if this is what you think that you should be doing when you play an online video game, if this is what goes through your mind, man, just go straight to hell. So they figured out in New World that, like, so the way New World works, because I know you're not familiar with it, is it's got the traditional MMO stuff, but you also pick a faction, one of three, when you enter a server. And then that faction, actually, those factions are kind of at war with each other, right? So what they'll do is they'll schedule wars against each other, and you can actually take over the map and even destroy some of the other factions, leaving the players like homeless basically and have to join other factions and stuff. It's very interesting stuff. Really cool, really unique, really different, right? So players, the way the war works though is you declare war, then there's an amount of time that goes down before a PvP actual battle starts. The PvP stuff is usually governed by like the highest general in the army, and they pick the players that are going to fight alongside them. Okay, which there's a lot of shitty exploits with that. But one of the things that they're doing now is they're literally reporting in the amount of time between, like, they see a war is going to start, and then they look at the other teammates and they go, he's high level, we're going to report him for misconduct. Like, our whole team's going to report him for misconduct. He will get banned so that he can't fight in the war. Yeah. What a bunch of garbage people. Like, how is this a problem? How is this a problem? How is this a problem? Why do you want to play a game that way? Why do you want to play a game that way? What do you get out of that? Like, fucking inches of land in a fucking video game? Bro, come on, man. Or broette. Like, stop doing that shit. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It's it's disturbing.
I couldn't imagine at all, honestly. Like,
well, and then Phil was telling me about one the other day, because like the way it works is like the general can like veto out people from the army, but anybody can join. So he just keeps. There's another like workaround where you can just keep like bouncing people out of your group until you get all mages, and then when you have all mages, basically they just stand there and do AoE effect attacks. And the AoE effect attacks, if they're all doing them at the same time, basically causes server lag on the other team, so they just get locked into these AoE effects and die. What's fun about that? What's fun about that?
That's
for anybody.
Why I cannot stand playing games with tryhards.
Yeah.
I absolutely cannot. If like again, it's part of the reason. One of the many reasons why I avoid online multiplayer stuff.
Well, and some of them are good. Like you get some good
I'm not
stuff.
Saying,
but I understand what you're saying.
Like
There's
that,
a lot of, and it sucks too because New World is such a new, interesting idea in the space of like online PvP. You know, it's really what they're doing really hasn't been done. You know, for a bunch of people to ruin it this way or try and find these exploits, it's just. So what do you get out of that? How is that fun for you? It's like kicking the table over when you're losing at chess. It's like you didn't win. You just destroyed the chessboard.
Right.
I don't know. Go ahead with your next one, so we can get sadder.
Right. Yeah. Well, here's kind of one. So Nintendo has essentially said that Joy-Con drift is always going to be a thing forever until the end of time.
Great.
Great.
So really positive odds and ends. I can't wait for this odds and ends to end and then be like, all right, that's the end of the show. Just sorry about life in general.
An individual named Ko Shikoda of Nintendo's tech division likened them essentially to tires on a car in a recent interview. As they get used, the joysticks wear down over time and need replacing. They said that the Joy-Con, the sticks are being improved always, but no matter what, they're always going to end up wearing down in some form or another.
Well, he's not wrong about that.
I mean,
even Xbox controllers go. The thing is, though, is an Xbox controller costs, what, $30 less than a Nintendo Joy-Con? That's something that kind of bothers me. You know?
Something like that. Like, I know I still have my original OG GameCube Wavebird controller.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Oh, yeah. She's my baby. But the thumbstick is kind of loose on it, and it will occasionally, when I'm playing, just randomly decide it's just going to go to the left.
Right.
So, like, usually what I end up having to do is kind of like rub my palm on it and kind of whatever. And I do take it apart and clean it. And clean the contacts and the inside on the boards as often as I can. But like that controller is 20 some years old now.
Right.
Like 21 years old. That controller can have a drink.
Right.
Like
they should be able to last longer than that is what you're saying. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, but at the same time the Xbox controllers die for me constantly. I think though, again, if you're buying a full set of Joy-Con controllers, it's like $70. That's the highest end like baseline controllers out there. You know?
Right.
Like a PlayStation DualSense doesn't cost $70. Like unless you're getting it like fucking like custom or something, right? Like
no, I think
last time I checked on an Xbox controller, I could get one for about $40. So like
I do think the DualSense is $70. I could be wrong.
Oh, Jesus! Sorry, PlayStation guys. Jesus, that's expensive. But all right. Next one.
60. No, they're 60.
They're 60. Yeah, 60.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's high end, but it's still not the most. Like, I don't know. It's. We'll go on to my next one.
Oh, no, never mind. I lied. It's 70.
Oh, it
70
is 70?
from PlayStation. 70 if you buy it directly from PlayStation. It depends on the color, too, because, you know, if you want something in a fun color, you got to pay more for it.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Elden Ring has been delayed. Anybody excited for the Souls-like from Guillermo del Toro and the guy who made Souls, I think? I don't know. This definitely isn't a game made for me, but it's been delayed. I think it was supposed to come out in December, if I recall, but it's not coming out until
Something
2022 now. There will be a early access beta made available though. if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's the most recent thing that I saw. I don't know. From what I've heard of it with first impressions, it sounds like I not necessarily that it's something up my alley, but it's something that I am curious about.
I don't know. I've seen some trailers. It doesn't scratch any itches for me. It doesn't get me excited, but it is scratching a lot of itches for a lot of other people. So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna we got to report on it.
Yeah.
All right, your next one.
All right. So I this is my last one, and this
Okay.
one's kind of out there. I just thought it was kind of funny, but it is a little bit of a sad one to some degree.
Okay.
Uh, Aliens Fireteam Elite has been out
Yeah.
for 2 months now,
Yeah, that's
and
a real bummer.
apparently there are only roughly about 1,000 people who play the game any given day, according to Steam's player counts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Not
yeah,
even.
yeah. I mean, that was one I remember seeing it. I remember you were somewhat hyped for it.
I was.
But it was yeah.
Can I tell
I
you something that I think they fucked up with?
oh, what's that?
They released it a month before Back for Blood, and it's
Oh
basically the same
yeah,
game with aliens. I think that
yeah,
was a big mistake, honestly. I think that, coupled with the fact that it wasn't as quality as I think Back for Blood was, like, and I'm pretty sure Aliens Fireteam, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Aliens Fireteam, the actual game itself, came out the same week Back for Blood did its open beta. So, like, anybody playing the open beta, then watching the reviews of Aliens Fireteam, which I think it got like 6 or 7s across the board, is probably just gonna wait for Back for Blood at that point. I think those games, even though they're very different in the like subject matter, are very the same as far as the type of players they're gonna attract.
yeah,
So I don't know. I still think it looks interesting. I'd love to play it. It was something that I was very excited for, but again, it's one of those that it's very multiplayer. The other thing that sucks about it is very multiplayer oriented. It's all about co-op shooting. So like with only 800 people in there, I don't see any reason to get it at this point.
right.
So that is a bummer. It's a bummer. It is definitely a commercial failure for that team.
Yeah,
All right, so my last one, Marcus Leto. If you are not an insider person for gaming, Marcus Leto is one of the guys responsible for Halo, the original Halo and Halo 2. I think he was mostly sound, but I can't remember. He was definitely up there. He recently formed a studio. That studio created Disintegration, which I thought was a really interesting, different game. However, nobody else thought it was interesting, and nobody bought it, so it died fast and hard, unfortunately. And with it went his company. However, EA has just hired him and given him clout to create his own new studio specifically for new first person shooter experiences. So we will be seeing something from Marcus Leto in the far off future under a new studio with EA. We don't know what the studio name is yet. Interesting stuff.
yeah,
Interesting stuff. I hope he hires a lot of the people from Disintegration back because they all lost their jobs.
yeah. That would be nice for them.
Yeah, it would be. And it sucks too because Disintegration really tried to be different. It really did, and it just failed. Some
Yeah.
hit, some don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing about new IP. That's why a lot of these companies want to avoid new IP because they just don't know. It's too big of a risk for them. But unfortunately, new IP is about the only way you can really get innovation in the space. So it's a catch-22.
It is, and we definitely need fresh new IPs. Gaming is getting very, very, very stale. And I mean, can you remember the last like really awesome fresh IP that came out that wasn't either a sequel or a spiritual successor to something else?
For me, it was Horizon.
I mean, yeah, okay, Horizon was good. New World actually surprisingly is pretty good. But like for the most part, it's a lot of just sequels on sequels on sequels. So like
Yeah.
I don't know. We need fresh stuff, and it sucks that this fresh thing didn't work the way people wanted it to. But I think that's it for odds and ends. Let's go to plugs and then get out of here so that I can pass out. How about we do that?
Alrighty.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that's the end of the show, and it brings us to the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, anything special you want to shout out this week?
Well, not really. We are going to be taking another week break on Halo, but we will be beginning the season 4.
I love how you forget when we're...
5.
Yes, 5. It will be 5.
5. Holy shit, 5.
5 out of 6. 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. Yeah, 5 out of 6. I mean, unless we find a way to make Halo 5 happen.
That's true. That we've had a couple of theories on how to do that. So if we can find a way to make that happen, we'll make that happen, and there'll be a 7th. But other than that, after 6, I will delete Master Chief Anniversary Collection from my computer with glee and go back to boycotting Halo. However, that is exciting. I do want to say you always forget our posting times in comparison to our record times. By the time this is up, we will already have missed the week that you're talking about. So,
I thought we already missed a week.
We missed 1 week, but you were like, we're going to miss a second week. But that week will have already been missed 4 days prior to when we post this.
Oh, you're not getting one this Wednesday either, or this week either. Whatever.
Well, you might give one this Thursday. Like if we record next Wednesday, we might have one up on Thursday.
If you want to be a crazy person and record and edit one to go up that day,
I might. Who knows?
That's all you, my dude.
I'm not gonna throw it out. Who knows? Who knows what I'm feeling like that day? So is that it? Is that
shit? The answer is shit.
Shit. It's always going to be shit. I'm 40 now. It's always shit. All right. I'm not going to plug anything this week. I plug things so much every week, so I'm not going to plug anything. The only thing I'm going to say, I'll plug one thing. That one thing will be last week's podcast. Please go check it out. I interviewed 3 more community members. It was a hoot. I love interviewing our community members and getting to know them a little bit better. And I think they're pretty good interviews. It's worth checking out. Other than that, guys, you can check us out. All the stuff we put up here. We average an episode of something a day here on YouTube. There's also multiple streams on Twitch. You can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. Sorry for the belch. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. Please go to Twitch. Check us out if you like streaming. Twitch.tv/OldManGamingDH for that one. And then as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We will see you next week.